Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the OK Grognard Show. It is Saturday, August 22nd, 2020, 9:30 a.m. Central, or just after, in beautiful Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. Well, there you go. That's weird. Why am I popping up as... Okay, I don't know why that is. Strange. I'm gonna open up a fresh window here and see if that changes that. 113 followers. I guess that's a thing, huh? Is that pretty good? Are we happy with that number? Are we looking for more? We trying to get some extras? Is that, should we do a drive? What do they call that? Like a, not a funding drive. We don't need funding. But should we do like a follower drive? Try to get followers. I don't know if we should put a time limit on it or if we should just say we want to get, I don't know, 200. I think 200's a milestone for Twitch, for a Twitch channel. I think you try to get that many for whatever reason. I don't know. Are there any good reasons other than just making sure you're not screaming into a wind tunnel? But it's Saturday. And Saturday is all about the GM reviews. That is, reviews of things, gaming or gamer adjacent, that are useful in gaming, particularly useful in RPGs, where a game master might find some value in them. And what we're looking at today, it's going to be weird on the green screen, right? Man, I saw poor Heath doing this Australian thing this morning. This live thing from Australia with a couple of game guys, and he's got a green screen, and he kept holding up things that just had green in them for sure. Or they were reflective, and because there was green on the other side of the camera or something, it's like in his glasses he was getting this reflection of green, like if I had, it's a green Crown Royal bag, right? Can you see me behind it? Do I disappear? Well, you know what disappears? Everything in this except the background that we have. So anyway, what is the point I'm trying to make? So I was going to hold this up, but it's got a green dragon on it. The Element Encyclopedia of Magical Creatures. The ultimate A to Z of fantastic beings from myth and magic. 2005. John and Caitlin Matthews are the credited authors. This, I believe, Harper Element is a sort of a loose series of books that Harper Element, a division of HarperCollins, puts together, that are the Element Encyclopedia series, I guess you would call it. And no part of this publication can be reproduced. Well, this is a review, so I'm okay. Print and bound in China. I wonder if it's bound for China. Perhaps they need it over there to keep track of all of these magical creatures. Dedication. This book is dedicated to the loving, wise, and magical Dwina Murphy-Gibb. Loving, wise, and magical. There is no comma after wise. So, not Oxford Press, or they'd be using the Oxford comma. Hey, oh, I see what I did there. What do we got? From Unicorns, Salamanders. Discover an incredible world full of every magical creature you could possibly imagine. 554 pages. There's a bibliography. So 546 pages. Oop, there's an epilogue with one last entry on it, though. There are some pages where they'll throw in a little spot illustration, and maybe there'll only be one creature on there. They've got these pages for the beginning of each alphabetical chapter, which is fine. So there's 26 of those. Off of 546, we got 520. We've got... Let me give Roman numeral pages for the forward and the prologue. We really don't start numbering pages until we get to the title page. And then there's the big A page, and then it's always blank on the back of a letter page. So 500 pages. First page, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Some of the listings are rather short. All right. Some of the listings are pretty brief. Errata, a type of small unicorn reported to live in the lands of the African Congo. Sorry, that's a bata. The abata is seldom seen, for it is a shy animal. Okay, not a lot there. But if you wanted an alternate name for unicorns, so that when you said we're hunting, you could have a whole adventure where somebody, some group gets talked into hunting a lawful good group, hunting the evil abata, and then of course the big reveal. I mean, you can have all sorts of, they go through some jungle or heavy forest. There are other encounters in there. There are other mentions by people that can speak. What does it look like? Oh, I've never actually seen it, but I know it killed several of our people. You can show hoof prints and say it must be a demon. You can have the stabby mark and say it's just it must be some sort of long tooth or tusk of some sort. And then, of course, when they finally catch up with the abata, it turns out that it's a unicorn, and then they have this dilemma. Are unicorns evil? They're not detecting any evil. Was it defending itself? Has it been hunted and thus is very wary of other beings? But there we are. It's just a unicorn. Abata. So, you see what I'm saying? You can see why I picked up this book to review. You'll note that in some sections you'll get a listing, and then in a sort of a box text you'll get a little background story. Gorinich, Gorynich, one of the most fearsome dragons. Good morning, Lexfire, Skull and Pants. One of the most fearsome dragons mentioned in Russian folklore. Gorinich was the nephew of an evil sorcerer who had abducted the Tsar's daughter and imprisoned her in a dark castle in the mountains, intending her to be the bride. The Tsar offered untold riches to anyone brave enough to recover his daughter. Many tried, but all failed. But at last, one of the palace guards, a young man named Ivan, said that he would undertake the task he had heard Two crows whispering together, discussing where the princess was hidden. The Tsar equipped Ivan with a magical sword and everything that he needed for his journey. After many adventures, he finally arrived at the fortress of the sorcerer, which was unguarded since its owner believed that no one could find the place or would have the courage to enter. Ivan searched the castle until he found the prisoners who told him of her betrothal to the dragon. Till he found the princess, who told him of her betrothal to the dragon. Just as they were about to flee, the sorcerer entered and, growing to the size of a giant, attacked Ivan. Fortunately, the young hero was ready with his magic sword, which flew out of his hand, hacked off the head of the giant, then flew off through every part of the fortress, hacking everything it met, every being it met, including the dragon Gorinich. When all of the evil beings were dead, they returned to the Tsar, and Ivan took the princess for his bride. That's a hell of a sword. Just flies through the fortress and kills everything. I don't know. Balance issues with that one, maybe? Just a little? Maybe we don't take that one verbatim over to Goose. Big listing on a goose. Oh, because, of course, it's a real animal, and in recent times, the goose has become associated with silliness, so that to call someone a silly goose implies foolishness. This is a comparatively recent development in the mythology of this bird, from which ancient times has been recognized as wise, swift, and powerful. I'm going to skip a bit. Let me continue. Like the swan, the goose is a solar animal, particularly in India, where both creatures are acknowledged as vehicles of Brahma and representatives of the creative principle, learning, and eloquence. No Oxford comma there again. Despite this solar quality, the wild goose is frequently associated with the moon in Chinese and Japanese tradition. It is known as the bird of heaven and is represented as a messenger, generally bringing good tidings. For the Egyptians, the goose, together with the duck, was a primordial bird that carried the cosmic egg from which all life was hatched. The goose was one of the many appearances of the creator god Amun, who had the ability to take many forms. It was also associated with Isis, Osiris, and Horus, in each case symbolizing love. In the Greco-Roman world, the goose was sacred to the goddess Juno, the goddess of the north wind, and also Hera, the queen of heaven. For the Greeks, especially, it signified love, watchfulness, and the qualities of a good housewife. It was also associated with the sun god Apollo, and because of its swiftness, with Hermes, the messenger of the gods. The Roman poet Ovid called it wiser than the dog, and a protector of the house. Both Greeks and Romans kept tame geese, and on one occasion, when the Gauls attacked Rome, the loud honking of the geese alerted the citizens to their approach and saved the city. In the Gallic Wars, Julius Caesar says that the goose was not eaten by the Britons, being a sacred bird. In Celtic tradition, it was associated with the god of war, while in Gaelic iconography, Epona, E-P-O-N-A, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, the horse goddess, is often depicted riding a horned goose. In Christian symbolism, the goose represented vigilance and providence and was associated with Saint Martin. To this day, a goose fair is still held in France on the Saint's Day, 11 November. When another famous goose fair held at Nottingham in England was held at Nottingham in England at Michaelmas. For many people, the goose symbolizes swift winds and is considered a weather prophet. It is still considered lucky for sailors to see a goose as it floats rather than sinks. In more modern times, Mother Goose has come to represent motherhood and protection for children, as manifested in the nursery rhymes and children's stories and countless collections. The goose. Quite a storied history there, huh, for the goose? Very nice. Very nice indeed. There are little sections like this. Gods, Men, and Animals, which does a sort of an overview of certain things. Whatever is the subject of it, obviously. And that's actually in there alphabetically. So they mean to, well, not quite. Oh, no. Golem. Okay. Golem is continued on the following page. That's just like a little side trip into something that's less specific to one entry, right? Pretty nifty. I like all the little clips they have in here. So, Dun Cow. Directional Guardians. Here, let's hear this one here. When is my time? Yeah, if I read this, I'm gonna eat up too much time. Destroying Animals. It's another small section. Dancing the Animals. Interesting. So this is pretty comprehensive. Just from what I've seen from looking through it over the years, and you know, I picked this up a while back, got it up on the shelf, and then occasionally would pull it off the shelf and just blindly open it to a page and read, just to get some inspiration, get the juices flowing. It is an awesome book. It's pretty expensive now in most places. It is originally £12.99 in the UK, $19.95 in Canada. Printed in China. There is no US price on it, so this must have been, I know it was printed in the UK and it must have been sold there and then somehow made its way over here. If you look on Amazon, you will see these things are going for hundreds of dollars. You can still get it under $100 on eBay from a couple of places, as low as $35-40, something like that. I saw a copy on there the other day that was pretty inexpensive at 12 and some change. With tax, it cost me $13, so I plunked down on it. A second copy, I think it's worth grabbing one of those and passing it on to another creator friend that I have in mind, but I don't want to say it aloud, because if I say it aloud now and it doesn't show up or gets lost in the mail or something, I'll feel like a real knucklehead. And well, I obviously do have knuckles coming out of my head, literally, and I'm statted up in the Monster Manual 12. What is, that's not really a thing. I'm just riffing like a knucklehead. There it is again. Anywho, it's a good book. It's a very good book. There's lots to get out of here. Having a bibliography means that There are all sorts of additional sources you can go to for more specific or broader information on a lot of these creatures. You don't necessarily know which source one or another was grabbed out of, but most of these, or a lot of these, are atlas, dictionary, encyclopedia, collections. So most of these are more specific, but also set up as reference material. So it may be that if you can find them in a library, or if you have access to a library network and you can find that one is at a library somewhere, perhaps you can get somebody, if it's too far away for you to get to it, you can have somebody go there and take a quick look at it, let you know if a particular entry is in there, if you suspect it is, like some encyclopedia on Arthurian legends, and you can see something in there says it comes from Arthurian legends, so you assume it's in there. So you do the old check. You do the old check with somebody and get them to take a look. I mean, that is if you can't find it online. Say on Goodreads, a lot of times they'll have sections of books up there that you can check out. Google Books, if you're part of that network, will have some pages you can check out, and maybe you can get the information there. So, you've got 8 pages of bibliography at the back with 20 to 30 different referenced materials or works on the back, in the back of this book. So you're talking about, what did I say, 8? So you're talking about 150 plus more reference books that you could pick up if you wanted to get into more detail. Obviously, if one or two of these small blurbs, passages that are in this, which are quick overviews, are so small in here and they only come, then you're going to get a lot more material on those other books, a lot broader. But this is specifically creatures, specifically magical creatures. So even that goose that we read, which is a real world creature, obviously, is discussed in relation to how it was revered as an omen in and of itself, the mythological references to which gods thought of it as their creature, messenger, or the way in which they would send a message to the world. Get off of my lawn, they would say, and just the goose would run up and bite your foot. I don't know. It could be that simple if you're using it in game. Have somebody walking through town and have a goose run across the road, come up and nip you on the knee when you start going in one direction or another, or nip you on the knee and try to get you to chase it. And then you follow it down an alley and, where'd it go? It's not there anymore, but there are a couple of guys there that are looking at you. So what's up with that? Well, they wanted to drag you in there. They wanted to draw you in. And so, magical goose time. Maybe they work for a temple, and that temple, one of their symbols is the goose. So they use it in ways that are more practical, but still, if they're going to use one thing or another, their mind goes straight to the goose. Let's use a goose. Why not? Goose is our thing. A goose is our jam. So anyway, it is kind of expensive. Be on the lookout for it, though. Obviously, as one of these heavily printed reference books, these often get printed a lot. Maybe not as much in the UK as here in the US, but when a company puts this out, especially a company which is doing it as part of a line of reference books because they expect, well, they'll buy our encyclopedia on magical creatures and our encyclopedia on Arthurian legend, and they'll put it next to it, and they'll buy the one on the arms and equipment of the Middle Ages. I don't know that that's really a thing, but if it were, that's the kind of thinking once they do this sort of branding, is that they'll sell multiple copies. There'll be a knock-on effect. Oh, if you get this, you'll probably get that, even if you weren't originally looking at that. So on and so forth. Anyway, you may find this in a thrift store. More likely in the UK than here. You may find it in a secondhand bookshop at a reasonable price, maybe even at cover price or less if it's a used copy. Don't be afraid of used copies. I think I spent, I don't even know what I spent on that one. I should check it out because it's fair for me to, I bought this probably a few years ago, right? And I probably, I'm not even gonna, I didn't buy it a few years ago. Actually, no, hard for me to remember. You know what? It had to be a few years ago. I would have to look back and see. But I probably bought it when they were still available and they weren't considered out of print. So I probably got it for 14 or 15 bucks US plus shipping, maybe not plus shipping if I got it through Amazon and got Prime shipping or whatever. So let's just say the prices now are exorbitant, and I wouldn't blame you if you don't just rush out and get it. I don't think I would either. However, put it on your short list for things to keep an eye on at half-price books, at thrift stores, at estate sales. When you see there's a lot of books, make sure you always look through reference books because they're just great material. I can't tell you how many times I've picked up a book on that I have on quotes, particularly Shakespearean quotes, because probably the most quotable person in our lifetime, in our history, because just so prolific. And gosh, can you imagine the number of books, stories, movies, etc. that have some snippet, some bit of some quotation from Shakespeare as their title? Fault in Our Stars, right? Oh God. You should do a search on Google for movie titles from Shakespeare quotes. I wonder if there's a list on there that would just be insanely long. Anyway, we're getting down to it, so let us do this. We will go here. We will say thank you very much to everybody who's part of the stream chat this morning and following the channel. If you are doing so, make sure you do chime in on the stream chat after following us, because we got ourselves a little list. We keep a list every week, and we do a little giveaway to somebody who's a follower who spoke up. We only ask you to speak up so we know you're not a bot. There's no purchase necessary, nothing more onerous than just letting us know you're actually a human being. How tough is that, right? We also want to say, if you haven't yet, keep working on those submissions for your Gamehole Con GMing. That's important. Support small RPG businesses with dice from 6D6 Studio. That's Studio 66, but 66studio.com. These are so cool. Treasure dice, mood and weather dice, the trap dice are really neat. Lots of fun on those. Tomorrow, Rules Retrospective is taking a look at the Druids from first edition AD&D. We've also got weekly news and announcements coming up on Monday, Tuesday. Cartography and world building campaign discussion on Wednesday, GMing tips on Thursday, building adventures on Friday, then back around to GM reviews next Saturday. Thanks again for following the show. If you're catching up with this on Twitter or on YouTube, please do subscribe to the channel. Give us a thumbs up. And, of course, make a comment. Constructive criticism is always welcome. So if you got some, share it. I want to thank everyone once again, and this has been me, 9:30 every day from beautiful Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. Bye-bye.